Good morning, good evening, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Robin, and this is part 2 of our adventures with the Tier 6 Premium US Light Cruiser Atlanta. But first of all, thank you very much for tuning in the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you will enjoy your time here. Right before we get going, let's have a quick reminder of the Atlanta's details and the build we are setting her with. The Atlanta starts with a relatively low health pool compared to her peers, with only 27,500 points of health. On the other hand, the artillery is where she shines. We are equipped with 16 127mm guns in an 8x2 turret configuration. The maximum firing range is 12 km and the reload speed can be brought down under 5 seconds. Torpedo-wise, Atlanta embarks something we could consider a simple point defense system, but the 2 quadruple launchers can be surprisingly efficient in the right context. Her anti-air defense system is rated 54, and the cruiser is quite agile with a maximum speed of 32.5 knots. Concealment is 11.4 km by sea, but depending on your captain, these numbers can vary. For the modules I've installed, we have steering gears, modification 2, concealment system, modification 1, and aiming system, modification 1. For our commander, we have chosen Norman Scott. He's been brought to rank 11 and legendary rank 1, with our inspiration being Charles Maiden. His main trait is directed impact, along with the skills beyond range, igniter, armed and ready, fixated, and refill station. So, Robin, yet another game with the same ship. Why is that? Well, the game we are about to review is a truly different kind of Atlanta gameplay, in my opinion. The situations we are about to get involved in really, in one hand, proves team play is a core element of our playstyle, and on the other hand, I wanted to showcase a battle with a diversity factor compared to our previous run with her, since this time we will be facing superior tiers. But that is enough of these descriptions. Without further ado, let's take the Atlanta to battle. And here we are, on the map Trident, Domination mode. We are jumping straight into the action here, since my recording was half a minute late. We decided to escort our friendly Benson towards Objective A, and as we approach it, I request some smoke. Now, fortunately for me, the Benson is gallant enough to oblige. That's a great start and also a great timing, since we already have enemy warships on the horizon. The York is fearlessly pushing straight towards us, and she represents quite the threat. Her hydroacoustic could be a real issue, considering there's also a collection of enemy battleships right behind her. So, naturally, with the Benson providing spotting, we are going to engage. Now again, without the IFHE skill, the 127mm shell cannot even penetrate the York's bow, and that's going to greatly extend the time needed to take her out. Our smoke detection range while firing is over 5 km, but that is equal to the York's hydroacoustic range, so we need to be careful and aim for the superstructure. The York is going to evade the torpedoes launched by our friendly Benson, and the latter took cover behind an island, rendering the York undetected. I am then forced to use my radar to keep her spotted, and here comes the hydroacoustic. I knew there was some enemy battleships backing the York from a distance, but looking at the minimap, I did not expect that many. I have to admit that I'm about to get very lucky here. We do incapacitate one of the York's torpedo tubes while she maneuvers to use them against us, and we are rapidly able to finish her off using our full broadside weight, granting us the first blood and the #1 frag of the game. And as I said, very lucky. Lots of splashes around my ship. We did receive the salvo, but it missed. I do activate my hydroacoustic regardless. She still had 1 torpedo tube active, and I cannot take any risks. Benson's smoke still has over 30 seconds left, and it's time for me to relocate. The dispersion pass of that smoke is actually perfect, since it will allow me to escape around the island, all the while remaining undetected, and all the while raining down on the Amagi. We keep the fires burning. I believe the Japanese battlecruiser cannot repair this one. And while we are sailing away from the objective, we are not giving up on it just yet. Our Benson sailed away for some odd reason, And on top of having the Amagi pushing the cap right now, we also have an enemy King George and an enemy Colorado on the way. Lots of armor, but also lots of damage, if we set up correctly. Meanwhile, our team is rather passive. We lost control over the Charlie cap early in the game, and the enemy team seems rather aggressive in return. Positive thing is that most of their force is going to push into our defenses, and we need to take advantage of that. I'm going to set up right behind this island and wait for the Amagi to progress. While we are still in the first line here, we do have some cards to play, and as long as our teammates give us a hand with the spotting, we should be rather okay. But again, looking at the minimap, all of our battleships are way down south, engaging from almost maximum range. The only enemy destroyer is at Charlie, but they seem not to realize the situation and are just sailing safe. But talking about assistance here, our Benson seems to have came back this way as well and lands a torpedo on the Amagi, forcing the damage control instantly and chunking down the battlecruiser even more. That's our cue to ambush. Amagi seems not scared to keep pushing into enemy fire, but we have to risk it and finish her off as soon as we can before the next enemy dreadnought pushes through. She is in range of our torpedoes and it's time to use them. While that move could be quite reckless, I was pretty sure the Amagi wasn't expecting it. We do get hit rather hard, but the Amagi's AP shell only overpenetrate. Our torpedoes connect and we get the kill along with the Arsonist's medal from the numerous fires we set on her previously. 2 enemy down, but this is far from being over though. We don't have a second to breathe before the next target comes in range. Enemy King George went around the island and is about to follow the same path as the Amagi, aggressively pushing in the cap. We try to reconcile, but not before the British battleship gets a zero in on us though. Against battleship AP, whatever the angle, Atlanta will get punished. And while we get lucky enough to evade any critical hits, we do get chunked even more. Although, I am almost behind cover, and I'm able to engage without risking any return fire. Our second destroyer managed to secure Bravo in the process, but the enemy team still leads by point and has also reset the kill counter. 1/3 of the match already ticked away, and our battleship still haven't decided to push. An enemy assault on Bravo is imminent, since Charlie has no resistances anymore, and if we don't deal with A fast, we risk getting pincered. Although, for now, Alpha Cap is mine, and no one will capture it under my watch. And while we reset the King George with some defense ribbons, friendly Benson comes back around and goes back to the offensive, setting yet another smokescreen for me. Kudos to him. That's going to allow me to close the gap between the two islands and unleash on the King George with impunity. And as we're aware, British dreadnoughts are not known for their efficient armor, and while we are still not able to penetrate the bow, the superstructure is large enough for us to deal decent damage. The Benson also opens fire, distracting the King George even more while his torpedoes are underway. And we are going to get a bit greedy here. While the fate of the King George is fully sealed, we are still going to spew fire until we get our 3rd kill. I could have been slightly more gallant and grant that frag to the Benson for his efforts on supporting the flank and providing the smokes, but the damage is done, both figuratively and literally. We sail straight back in the smoke before the enemy Atlanta spots us. She is engaging at Bravo with our battleship, but if she spots us while we're out of the smoke, the incoming enemy Colorado on the other side could potentially have a shot on us. We are going to try and support our battleship by laying down fire on the Atlanta, but at this range, with a maneuvering target, this has little to no effect. Atlanta goes down and the B-cap is safe for now. We of course instantly turn our guns on the Colorado and get them singing again. So far, we have not moved a lot around the map, to be honest. We stayed over the same islands in the same area, constantly shooting around in a rather target-rich environment, trying to hold our grounds. With the Alpha cap only and the great help of the Benson, we are already up to over 12 defense ribbons, and now, with the assistance of 2 battleships, finally, we will be able to quickly dispatch of the Colorado and get this entire flank cleared of enemy threat. Colorado does get a bit antsy at us, understandable, and does land a blind fire for minimal damage. Meanwhile, the enemy team is still in the lead point-wise, but at least each teams have now a respective flank secured. I head out of the smoke and start making my way towards Bravo already, and after a couple of fire sets and some decent superstructure hits, Colorado finally goes down and our Benson is able to claim the cap. Right after this, we have some very good intel. The enemy Fletcher is out to hunt our battleship down the southwest part of the map and does not threaten any capture zones as of right now. The biggest threat is still the enemy armor, now pushing Bravo. The second Amagi and the remaining Iowa are now making a coordinated advance, and for me, well, it's going to be the same exact plan. Find an island to hide behind and lob shells at everything that moves. We are making sure that the Amagi is distracted enough and cannot traverse her guns on us before we engage. Some fire sets instantly, some more defense ribbons. We finally took the lead on points, and I intend on keeping it that way. I have to say, so far, this is an ideal scenario for the Atlanta. We have never ran out of targets and did not have to chase down any ships. We just had to sit and let the enemy push into our fire, and the Amagi isn't doing any different. We do lose our own Amagi to the Iowa's fire though, and while we are behind cover, we will try to make that loss count. Our own battleships are still positioned in a not so ideal way, and while they do have line of sight on the Amagi, they are still really far behind. Also, we are now detected by the enemy Fletcher. At least we know he is in range of our guns and we can estimate his position, but he is not that much of a threat, still the battleships are. Amagi though is caught in a nasty crossfire and quickly lost most of her hit points. We earn the high caliber medal, closing around 1,300,000 points of damage dealt, and we do not let the trigger go. Now, Fletcher torpedoes might be in the water towards our overall location. Hydroacoustic is active, even if I'm pretty sure these torpedoes would be aimed at my battleships. Amagi, in a world of pain, finally succumbs to our combined fire, and we can see the light of a victory. Although Bravo cap is about to be flipped, and we manage just in time to lob shells at the spotted Iowa and reset the entire cap at the last second. Now, with the Fletcher still spotting me, the Iowa might be able to get a shot. But the enemy destroyer is not only providing eyes on me, but also on our 2 remaining battleships, and the Iowa focuses her fire on the latters instead. She also repaired our single fire, not the wisest decision, but hey, at this point I will take every extra damage I can get. Moreover, reversing full broadside is not going to yield the best results, and Iowa also gets hit quite hard by one of our battleships. Naturally, shortly after, she burns again with a double fire. At this point, I can see that she will go down faster than expected, and we will be able to hunt the Fletcher down. Confederate medal shows up. We did engage and damaged numerous targets throughout the course of the game, and yet another salvo falls down on the American Dreadnought, removing some more chunks of her health. The rest of our shells, combined with our fire's damage over time, seals the fate of the Dreadnought, granting us our 4th kill along with the Witherer medal. Now for the Fletcher, and you know what? We don't even need to hunt him down since, well, he is coming straight for us instead. I guess he thought he could not pull a win in time, reasonable let's say, and decided to go all in for the final. He still had a couple of minutes he could have used to strike our battleships again, but that was not his intent, I guess. Respectable, Fletcher, respectable. Although, of course, with 4 kills under my belt, he is serving my Kraken Unleashed on a silver plate. A few salvos and adjustments later, Fletcher quickly found herself with no more hit points, we rapidly secure our 5th kill and finally put an end to this intense game with a victory. 180,000 points of damage dealt, 15,000 XP earned, along with 23,000 Commander XP added, and over 800,000 credits gained. We achieved First Blood, Witherer, Arsonist, Confederate, Kraken Unleashed and High Caliber out of 700 hits, 17 fires and 2 torpedoes. We defended our caps with a value of 23 defense ribbons and sunk 5 ships doing so. Over 5,000 base XP, clearing the second top of our team and tripling the enemy's team first. Not to show off here, but this might be my base XP record. Overall, a pretty intense but satisfying run with the Altanta. If it was not for the help of our Benson throughout the initial engagements, we would not have been able to pull it off. Well, people, that's going to be it for the Altanta. Thank you for those who stuck all along these 2-part episode, and I hope you've enjoyed your time or at least learned something. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you did not, well, thumbs down, but stay tuned anyway. As always, there will be more content to come about World of Warships. Thank you again for the support throughout our videos, and until next time, you have a good one, and you take it easy.